Hello and welcome to the Hopeless Podcast. My name is Delphia. I am your host. It's been a while. It is great to be back on hosting again though, and today we once again have Joseph and Jason joining us. So welcome.
Hey. Thank you.
Awesome. Nice to have you guys on, and we've got a really cool topic today. I am so excited about it. The title is Lost for 5 Minutes, A Story of Redemption. And what are the thoughts on the title? What are the thoughts on being lost? What are your thoughts on it? Jason, we'll go with you first.
Me?
Yeah, you.
I don't know. I've never been lost in my whole day today. I've been lost driving around. Actually, that's not true. I have been lost today. I forgot where I parked my car. I couldn't find it. But eventually you find it. So is it really lost if you find it then? Maybe it was lost for a while.
And Joseph, what are your thoughts on the title?
Well, I'm looking at the title and it says Lost for 5 Minutes, A Story of Redemption. I'm kind of like, wow, lost for 5 minutes. There's people out there have been lost for like hours, not minutes. And not even hours, days, weeks, months,
Years?
possibly even years.
Yeah.
Okay. But 60 seconds is a long time. If you just sit by yourself with nothing to do, you're all afraid and you don't know if you're safe or not. So I definitely see that side of it. And I always like a happy ending. I don't like how any story or movie ends bad. So there's a redemption at the end. So I'm just like, okay, I'm here. I'm listening. Tell me. Fire. Shoot away.
Well, as I said, this topic is really interesting. And for me, I'm the sort of person who really likes watching investigations and stuff like that. A lot of the time into missing person accounts. And so it's kind of really interesting and down my pathway. But there's also different ways of getting lost. I know that I get lost in my thoughts a lot. I get lost for words, not because I'm just in awe, because I'm slow speaking. I get lost in time. There's a lot of different ways that we use the word lost in now. So what are some ways that we can get lost? Because sometimes it's not just the literal term lost, as in you don't know where you are or where the people who you were with are. What are your thoughts on what being lost is?
I suppose for me, it's unawareness. It's a certain kind of, I just don't know, and being lost physically, it comes with a lot of different sort of fears, I suppose,
Yeah.
And it could be fear of being hurt, fear of being kidnapped, fear of not having the things that you need. But also, I suppose, as you said, you can be also, lost in thought, which can also be uncomfortable as well. I saw one, I think it was lost in translation, meaning. And I think that's, for me, is probably the key thing, is losing the meaning. If meaning is lost, purpose is lost. And I'm going to put a plug in there as well for identity lost as well. It could be a lost identity. Yeah.
And just jumping in there, I was just thinking before that there's a lot of people are lost in their purpose in life. They lose that. They're just why am I here? So a lot of people have that now, where they lose their motivation for life, and that is very sad as well. Being lost is all the time sad. Even when you lose your train of thought, it's very emotionally hard.
Disrupting, isn't it?
Oh, it is. I really hate it. Joseph, what are your thoughts on different ways of being lost. Have you been lost before?
Yeah. Maybe I'm lost right now. What am I doing here? No. No. I've been lost before. And I think that everyone is on a journey to ultimate fulfillment. So I think that
Nah, not me, mate.
yeah. No, true. No, people are finding their own way in life in forms of, okay, I have to get this possession, I have to be this famous, or I have to get this job title to be respected, or I need to be in this religion and I need to do good works, or so I'm going to be burning and burning and burning. So people find their way not to be lost in certain things, and some things they can find part fulfillment but not full. So that's my thoughts.
Okay, nice. So I have been lost, and this is why we called it Lost for 5 minutes, because I was lost for about 5 minutes. But it was like years ago when I was probably about 5 or 6. And honestly, it is like traumatic. Like, as I said, 5 minutes isn't much, especially when you've got Joseph who's like, minutes isn't much. Some people have been lost for hours and days and weeks and months and years. And it's like, no, I wasn't lost for that long. But honestly, the full story, the minute by minute account of Delphia Stomankovich being lost. My family and I were at a pet shop, and I was in like the animal area, going home looking at all the live animals they had there, not wild animals. Anyway, and my brother went back to my parents, and I didn't know where they were after like a little bit of hanging around at the animal area. I was just like, are they here? I'm like, I don't think they're here. I started freaking out because I'm just like, they've left me. They've gone back to the car, which was like across a very busy road at some shops. Anyway, I was like, great, they've left me. So I was just like, okay, well, I've got to get back to the shops. And that was probably, looking back, that was probably more scary than me being lost, is I had to cross this road. And I was watching a lady further up ahead from me. So I crossed like the first like part of the road, and like that goes well because the cars are coming from her side, so they would hit her first before me, and then we get to the middle, and then if I went and continued watching her as to when I could cross the road, they would have hit me first and then her. So it's like, and then I was in that middle street. I just remember crying, and I'm trying to like work out how to cross this road. Anyway, and then mom and dad like walk out of the shop. They're like, Delphia, like we're here. Anyway, and it's just like the relief. I don't know. It's just like, yes, it was for 5 minutes, but those 5 minutes were very difficult. So like it isn't the most dramatic account of being lost. Like there's much more exciting and scary accounts of people being kidnapped, abducted, all these sort of things. And it would be a little more like thrilling, but still it's like that sense of being lost is very, very hard, I guess. And it's just like fear, uncertainty, worry in general, and it's just terrifying.
Yeah.
I don't know how else I'd explain it. Like that was me being lost. I have lost my dog before. I've lost a bag before. The bag was probably the second most traumatic one. I don't know why. But yeah, that was me being lost. But are there other stories that maybe we could look at?
What you didn't finish it off on the good note, like I said. Yep. What about being found? Did we even
find you?
I
She's leaving as a cliffhanger, you know.
I said I was in the middle strip, and then like I stepped out just in front of. No, I didn't. So I can see that I've got Jason into this. Like he's just there in the story. No, so I was in the middle strip, and that's when my parents came out of the pet store with my brother, and they were just like, Delphia, it's okay, we're here. I'm like, what are you doing in the middle of the road? Anyway, I can't remember much after that. I just remember the being lost bit. But I survived.
Sure.
And I lived on for like another 10, 11 years so far. So there was a happy ending. There was,
Cool.
Joseph.
Yay.
But as I was saying before, are there other stories about being lost that you guys know? Like maybe in the Bible, is there a story, like a particular story that really stands out about someone, something being lost?
Actually, I think I came across one story this week where a lady was lost for, I think it was like almost 10 years. She was the sole survivor in an aircraft crash, and she managed to sort of save herself by I was trying to find some drastic efforts that she took to save herself. Her name is Julianne Kopech. I don't know if you've heard about her. She was sucked out of an aircraft in 1971 after it was struck by a bolt of lightning.
Whoa.
She fell 2 miles to the ground, but she was still strapped to her seat. She endured 10 days in the Amazon jungle. And after 10 days, she found a boat moored near a shelter and found the boat's fuel tank still partly full. She poured the gasoline on her wounds, and the action succeeded in removing the maggots from her arm. So she, at that point, like 10 days, her arm was starting to get maggots on it.
Was it maggots?
And
Maybe it was like leeches, because in the Amazon, maybe
yeah,
leeches.
it could be leeches. It could be leeches. And so out of the 93 passengers, she managed to survive.
Wow, that's kind of a miracle there. Lightning strike,
Magnificent.
sucked
Yeah,
out of a plane, leeches, 10 days in the forest, and
yeah,
then finding a boat being full, on top of that, being able to survive straight after that and getting to safety.
Imagine like everyone would probably be like, the chances of being in a plane crash are rare. And then she's like, no. This was a lightning bolt hitting the plane, which caused the plane crash. And it's just like, it went from rare to like ultra rare. Imagine
what are
how
the
hard
odds? Yeah,
it would be to like explain that to someone and someone would be like, yep, 100% what happened. Yep.
yeah. That was one story, but I'd imagine the ones probably that's yeah, ultra rare, I suppose. Extreme stories.
Yeah.
Less extreme, yeah.
Go ahead.
Less extreme ones like Bible talks about the lost coin, the lost sheep.
Maybe you should explain that a little bit more for the people that don't know about the story of the lost coin or the lost sheep.
I think it's a parable, right? If I'm not mistaken, it's a parable about a coin that was lost, and the lady who actually lost the coin, she searched diligently for this coin. She swept the house, every inch of it, to try and find this coin. And when she did, she called her neighbors together and she celebrated. And so I think that the kingdom of God is referenced in this, or a sinner who is found is referenced as someone like the lost coin. I think that maybe God is looking for that person who is lost, like a lost coin, going through every avenue, sweeping the house, just leave no stone unturned or furniture unmoved. That's
who
the
can
picture
really
I get. Yeah.
Who can really relate to that? Sweeping the whole house, literally the whole house, turning everything upside down to find 5 cents. Like, would you even be bothered? Like, 5 cents missing from a wallet. Let's sweep the whole house now. And then not only that, after finding it, let's go over to the neighbor's house. Let's go down the road. Let's go behind there. Let's have a good party. Found 5 cents. Woo. Can you really relate?
It's the value. It's the value in that coin. I mean, it could have been a Bitcoin.
Good point.
It could have been a Bitcoin. Yeah. So the person of the house, the homeowner, the lady, whoever she was, she saw value in that coin, right? such great value that she would go through the depths to, I mean, maybe someone else doesn't see that value. Maybe the coin didn't realize its own value, but the lady certainly
Amen.
did. Yeah. And that's the value that God sees in us,
Amen.
Yeah.
There's actually, if you guys, our listeners, want to go and find this story, it's in Luke chapter 15, and it gives two other stories of things that were lost. One of them being a lost sheep, and the other one being a lost son. The story of the prodigal son, which is one of them, is probably one of my favorite parables of all time. Just because if you look at it, he went down and he was like, he was up here, he had full privilege. He was wealthy son, wealthy father, and then he decides, this is the difference, he decides to get lost, if you want to put it in that term. I remember,
well, I don't think he wanted to get lost, did he? He decided to.
He left.
He left
though.
he left comfort and the luxury of
He
his father's
became
house.
lost.
Huh?
He became lost.
Yeah, but it wasn't his intention to get lost.
If he had stayed home, he wouldn't have been lost. But I've actually
Sound like my mother now.
I've actually watched a report though of a lady who went missing. I've forgotten the amount of time. It was a fair while, an amount of time that would cause concern. It wasn't just a couple of days or whatever. She chose to be lost. She was in hiding, I think, out of her boyfriend's place, and they would only come out at night. And she was just super secretive about it. And she's just she didn't want people to know. She didn't tell her family. No one knew where she was. And yet she was just there all the time. But I think for this young man who is in this Bible story, he goes and he asks for his inheritance, which is very rude, because that is normally what happens when the father dies. So he's just like, Dad, I consider you dead. Can I have your money? And he grabs that money and he goes. And okay, let's make it modern, I guess. He goes overseas to some random country.
Las Vegas, America.
Yeah. he goes to Las Vegas in America.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and he is in the casinos wasting that money that his father probably spent all of his time working on. He's going out with who knows who, spending his money with them. He's in the gutter. And he thinks he's having a good time, but he doesn't realize that circumstances are changing, and now he can't even afford just to live.
Mm-hmm.
So he has to go and do, I don't know, what's one of the worst jobs you can imagine that he had to do? Because in the Bible, it had that he fed swine. And for a Jew to feed pigs, that was the lowest of the low, I would imagine, considering that, pigs are dirty animals, stuff like that. So what are your ideas? Modern version of feeding pigs in Vegas?
Maybe he's a sewer cleaner or something like that.
Okay.
Someone who cleans the sewer, and then he finds in China they've got these things that's called sewer food now.
Ew.
Oh yeah, it's an actual thing. I think
that is
it's
very
also,
disturbing.
Yeah, they find meat that have been partially eaten and thrown away. Joseph is like, you're putting me off my chocolate here. Yeah, and they can reconstitute these food and they can make oil out of some of it. It's
I know.
Something, huh?
What about McDonald's rubbish collector?
McDonald's rubbish collector. That's not a bad idea. Yeah.
But Macca's. Okay, I don't know what it's like in other countries, but basically here in Australia, for those who aren't from here, most kids go to Macca's to get their first job. So it's not quite the low of the low, but then a rubbish cleaner at Macca's.
Specifically that. So then they can eat out of the rubbish bin.
Okay. But what if the sewer cleaner guy finds stuff that people flush down their toilets, that's edible.
Yeah, that works too.
Okay, so either way, whatever's worst for you guys, if you consider working at Macca's being a rubbish collector really bad, then he was a rubbish collector at Macca's. If you think that's clean sewage and stuff like that is worse, then he was a sewage cleaner. Anyway, so he's now at this job, and what happens next, guys? He's there, and does he start contemplating life, or
Does he what?
does he start contemplating life, or?
Yeah, I think at that point, when all his friends have abandoned him, he finds himself doing something that not even
Wait.
his servants.
You missed something. Why does his friends abandon him? He's not all rich, and then he's working as a sewer cleaner because he's rich. You missed that part.
I did.
His money ran out. He spent all his
there
money.
you go.
I think
There
you
you
mentioned
go.
that.
No one said anything.
I
Okay.
said that he was spending it on casinos and
Yeah, but you didn't
on
say it
all other
ended.
things. Okay, his money has ended, and that's why he's working in this position. We've had an adjustment to the storyline that I was going by. Okay, so he's run out of money, and that's why he is forced to do this disgusting work, whatever it is you've chosen that he does. Okay, now he's lost his friends because he's no longer wealthy, and he can't shout on them, and they can't shout on him. He gets to start thinking about life. And I guess if you were down by yourself, because I'm not assuming here, but I don't think many people are on board for just like cleaning sewage out. So he's probably kind of like a lonely job as well. But anyway, he has time to think about life. And what was his idea? He came up with a genius plot. What was that idea, Joseph? What
Yes.
What did he come up with?
Well, he was like, well, look at me. Oh, I'm so hungry. Oh, the pig's food. Oh, I could eat that. Like I could eat anything at the moment. Oh, and he's like, you know what? Back at my dad's place, servants were treated so good. They had like a big house. They had like a warm heater. They had air conditioning. They got 3 meals a day. Like they actually got paid really pretty good. They got like clothes, new shoes. They got treated like equally as like a person, like, and loved just as much. And like you do good work and you paid good money. So he's like, if I go back to my dad's house, I could probably work as a servant and be pretty good. I'll be pretty well off. That's what he thought.
Okay. I like how you put it. I really like, just your explanation of it. So he's come up with that idea. Okay, let me go to my dad's house. I can be a servant. He's like, okay, son is probably a bit far-fetched considering what I've just done and the state I am in currently. Let me go back as a servant, and because at least they're better off than me. And had his father forgotten about him?
No.
Okay. Some people probably would have wanted to forget about a kid who was ungrateful as that.
Yeah.
Or as we call them, spoilt brats. Because that's what he was, if you just be blunt about it. So he decides that he is somehow going to get back home from where he currently is, and he is coming home, and he probably stinks of sewage still, or Macca's rubbish, or pigs, whatever variation of the story you want to go with. And he's coming up his dad's road, and he sees his dad just standing out at the letterbox, just looking around. And I don't know, if I saw my dad just like doing that, I would be like, we don't have a letterbox here, but I don't know, if he was standing out of the car, it wouldn't be that big a deal. But when you find out later in the story, that dad wasn't just standing by the letterbox for no reason. He was actually wanting his son and wishing his son would come home. And he looks around and he straight away recognizes his son as he walks up. And he doesn't care that he's been cleaning sewage, feeding pigs, or collecting rubbish and Macca's. He goes and he hugs him. Okay, it's bad enough when, like, for us, my brother does a lot of physical work. When my brother comes back and he just like stinks, he kind of gets like a butterfly hug, a ghost hug, whatever you want to call it, and he's sent to the shower. But this guy, he just like grabs his son and hugs him. And
not only hugs him,
he kisses him.
There you go.
And falls on his neck and cries. And Jason's just like, nah, bye-bye. If you think of it, nowadays, a lot of people would have the same reaction. If their son came home and be like, what are you doing back here? You don't deserve to be here. You took your money, you left. What are you doing back here asking me for more?
Okay, so I'm getting some powerful images here of the father, because the father is like, first thing I see that he's very rich, he's well off, right? To the point where if he can pay for all these servants and all these kind of things, the luxuries that they live in, the father is well off. And if that is like a picture of our Heavenly Father, it shows us that he's abundant in riches, he has so much that we cannot lost in thought here, but we cannot finish it, whatever he has. So that's the first thing that I see about the father, like in that story. And the second one is like when the son returns. I'm sorry, there's quite a lot you guys pick up as well. Just the act of welcoming him, and then on top of that, hugging him, the stench, and then on top of that, kissing him. It showed that it didn't matter what condition he was in when he came back. The fact that he was back was just enough,
And not only that, you're missing two more things that happened to him.
Yeah.
Can anyone remember? There's two more things.
I was about to go and rub you into it, Joseph, and say you can go and share with our listeners what those two things are.
Okay, I can.
Thank you.
Okay, so those two things are, he puts his ring on his son's hand, which signified that he is actually a high-standing class member of the household and should be respected as one. Now, he's not just an ordinary visitor or worker, etc., etc. And then the other thing is, he's like, yo, fam, go out, get that fatted calf, that we've been saving up for a rainy day for like one of these big festivals, like a wedding or something. Don't worry about wedding or festival or whatever. Let's go and get it. He's back home. Let's go kill it and like be happy, be merry, be joyful.
So there again, we have the celebration similar to what that lady who lost the coin had, where she bought all of our neighbors and they had a feast, which probably cost a pretty penny again. But the fact that, whatever she was celebrating was more important, it was, what was he celebrating? I mean, does he say what he was celebrating?
Before we go there, I have one more point to share. I love how, it's when you read the story, the son, in his free time while he's working and has no one else to talk to, he's going and he's getting a full script of what he's going to say to his dad as a story note.
Yeah.
Anyway, and he's like, okay, I'm going to say, Dad, I've done wrong. I have sinned. I'm not worthy to be called your son anymore. Can I be one of the servants and just like live under your roof because they get paid better than me, this, that, and the other. And I love how in the Bible it says that he says to him like, Dad, I've sinned against God and against you. I am no longer fit to be called your son. And then the next verse says, but the father called to his servants, hurry, he said, and bring the best robe and put it upon him and put a ring on his finger and shoes on his feet. He's like, the dad isn't even listening to what he's saying. I love that. He's just like, I don't care what you've done. Because when we read further in the story, the brother is just like, I know what he's done and I hold grudges because of that. And the dad's like, I don't care what you've done.
Yeah, he's like, I'll never forgive you,
Yeah, he's like, I totally forget. why are you asking my forgiveness in the first place? I'm your dad. I love you anyway, no matter what.
But the fact that he came back, sorry, Daphne, the fact that he came back was a testament of where he was sort of mentally, you know, like the story is part of his transformation, because he realized that what he did was wrong. Before, he didn't realize what he did was wrong. He thought it was in the right to get his father's inheritance and to do whatever he wanted with that inheritance. He wanted to have his own way, you know, and he saw nothing wrong with having his own way. But now when he gets back to his father, he had a repentant attitude. And a repentant attitude is, I've sinned against heaven and against you.
Yeah.
Is that what he says? Yeah.
Sinned against God and against his father is what my version says. I'm reading
so that's the repentant attitude, you know.
Joseph, you got your hand raised. What's your point that you want to add in?
Yeah, I just want to touch on that and further emphasize on another point that's not really been highlighted. And it's that no matter how far gone you've gone, God still is going to welcome you into his arms. And when he was like, don't worry about this. And then his brother was like, oh, why are you treating him like that? You know, you should have punished him because like he's come all the way back here. Like, how dare he show his face? Like, where's the justice in that? But instead, the father's like, no, come on now. Let's have a party. Come on. You have to love your brother. And then the point I want to emphasize there and highlight is unconditional love.
Wow. And I think as well, I always feel like as soon as I start speaking, I lose my train of thought. So Jason, go ahead.
Unconditional love, right? Would the father have loved him the same if he didn't return?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
How could he love him the same? Like, if he didn't return, he would have not had the kisses, he would have not had the hug, he would have not had the ring, he'd have not had the fatted calf. The fact that he returned was the opportunity for the father to show him that love. Love unexpressed is not love, is it? You tell me.
Okay, but to me, in my mind, because I've got like a lot of long distance friends, and just because I am not with them, I don't hang out with them, I'm not talking to them 24/7, doesn't mean to say that I don't like love and appreciate them. And I can't bestow that upon them because there is at least 4,000 kilometers distance between us. And I think just because this father wasn't able to show his love because his son was away, is like, I don't know. Another thing that I watch along with like missing person investigation stuff is like when people try and find their biological families. And when you see like the parents who are there and like they're just in tears and they're like they haven't had much connection with this kid of theirs, but yet they have that love and they can't show it to their child because they didn't have that opportunity. They gave it to someone else, and that's how they showed their love, by giving it to someone else. But they still have that very strong love that, oh, you could be whatever now, but you're still my child. And that my child connection didn't change for this father. That's still my son.
Yeah,
no matter
I understand
what
you're saying, but Joseph.
Yeah, I
But
physically
before
raised my hand.
Joseph says anything, right?
well.
Love
I
gives,
just
right? You know, like I've said that like last three. Yeah. Sorry, Joseph.
No worries. I just wanted to highlight both points and then bring it together as one. As that Jason was saying, in the point of view of the person that needs love and needs to receive it, that person can't receive it if he doesn't come back. So in the point of view of the receiver, of course you cannot have the love. But now in the point of view of the giver, God's love always remains unconditional, ever up and total and infinite, because he is love. that doesn't change, that doesn't waver. So no matter how far or whatever the person is, their love is still there, but the person in the receiving end can't receive it if it can't come back. So I think to tie both points together is that it's important to know God, right?
Yeah.
To know him.
Yeah. Okay. So I just want to comment on that because this is very interesting, right? Because if anything, the Father's love pales in comparison to our Heavenly Father, in that His love is not bound by these circumstances. Remember what the Father said to the bigger brother? He said, "My son was dead and now he's alive." You know. But do you know what it was that resurrected the son? It was the love of the Father. It was the love of the Father it was the love of the Father that brought him back home to realize that, okay, maybe maybe he thought, my father has all these servants and this is how he treats them. That's love. If the father treats the servant this way, how much more is he going to treat me, his son, That's love. And that's the love that brought him back home. So yeah,
And
he was loving him. Sorry.
yeah, just jumping on with that point as well. I remember reading from one of my favorite authors something that she had written. She said, and it ties in with this because we're talking about this father with his son, and we're also talking about our heavenly Father, God, with us, his sons and daughters. And what I love that this author wrote was that those people who aren't in heaven, those people who haven't come back, Christ will always have a hole in his heart, like that. There's just that chunk of his heart missing. Just that like when, I don't know how to explain it, but when someone is no longer a part of your life, you don't, there's that spot that they've always got there. And that's what Christ will have for all those people who haven't made it. So this is probably what the Father is experiencing. His son isn't there, he's absent, but he's got that place in his heart where his Father just has this insuppressible love. And Joseph, I see that you're excited to share something. What is it?
Yes. Well, before I say my thing, I want to give the microphone over to Jason because my thing ties into something else. And yeah, anyway, Jason, you go for it, and then I'll say my thing after you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, when you look at that, what the Father was experiencing, right? It probably is more than what the lost person is experiencing. And we don't really think about what he went through. The guy who went off, the prodigal son, he was having fun the whole time until the money ran out. You know what I mean? But the father, he was in anguish from the very moment he said, give me the inheritance. He was in anguish the whole time until that son came back and he saw him, and it's kind of painful, just think about how we place our Heavenly Father in that anguish when we continue to go against his will, like at what point do we realize that we're causing this anguish, that we're lost when our resources run out, is that when we come back to him, maybe when the food crisis deepens and the petrol prices get worse, and who knows, when do we come back?
So just before I hand it over to you, Joseph, just jumping on that point was that I'm gonna shout out to someone here. The Camilleri Sisters, I've just downloaded their album Where Would I Be Without Jesus, and you can purchase that on iTunes. In the song Where Would I Be Without Jesus, one of the lines go, until like one day someone told me that without Jesus I would always feel so lonely, I think it was. Anyway, I've forgotten the exact word that goes in there, but they're basically saying that no matter what, if they don't have Jesus, they're always going to feel this emptiness, this lack of peace. And honestly, I felt a lack of peace until I was found.
Mm.
So we've got so many people in this world who are running around in circles, trying to find peace, trying to find fulfillment, trying to find all different things.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus is the only way that we can get that. When we are found, we will experience that.
Right.
As long as you're not with Christ, you're going to have that. And like, I don't know, for those out there who have been lost, you know what it's like when you are back in the relief. And I'm sure with the parents, it's relief as well. That, as we were just saying, it's incredible. So it's only by coming back to Christ that we experience peace. And Joseph, what's your point? You've waited long enough.
Yes, well, I like just want to begin on my points. I've jotted down on my side, just want to begin. But before I get into that, I think, Jason, you inspired me just a second ago when you were just saying that. I was like, whew, wow. Like something brought up to my mind. And then I think I just matured like 20 years when you just said that. Like you were like saying, like, I think the story of the lost or the prodigal son encapsulates the essence of being a parent. Like at the end of the day, when your kid grows up and then they mature, they get the job, they maybe they earn way more money than you, they have their own life, they have their own family, they have their own kids. They might run away, they might turn away from God, but as long as you're there and you did your part as a parent in the beginning and you provided that foundation, they're going to come back and they're going to remember you.
Mm.
No matter what and how far gone they are, as long as you've done your part and pray and God and the Holy Spirit will touch them, they'll be like, oh, I remember Dad was there for me. And I'll go back to him no matter what, because no matter I live this lifestyle, I had this money, I went off the rails and I did drugs, smoke, alcohol, blah, 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 blah. I know I can go back to God and I know I can go back to my dad because he was my rock and my foundation, and he still is. And I think that's like, that encapsulates parenting like on another level. I don't know. Did I just mature just then?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Like,
I think you're ready for a
anyway.
relationship now.
Like, anyway, besides that, I just want to just point out, like, we did touch a little bit on the point of like the lost sheep. Can we give a little bit of context to that just quickly? And then I want to throw like a couple of my points that I have on a side note in my head.
Well, a sheep was lost, then it was found, and there was a celebration, big party.
Okay. Now, thank you for that.
Oh, no, wait, sorry, I forgot something.
Okay.
Sheep was lost, but there was 99 other sheep that were not lost. And the shepherd left the 99 out in search for the one that was lost. There's a lot in there. There's a lot in there.
There actually is. So let me just quickly put my points out there and emphasize this so we can kind of like wrap up, because it's dragging too long and I know people's attention spans. Like, hello, future me in the car. Hello. I hope you're finding this inspirational. God bless everyone in the listening anyway. Anyway, that was a bit of a side note, but I just wanted to point out that God doesn't care. God doesn't even want one of his sheep to be lost. So in the parable, it was 100 and then one was lost. So imagine I can't even imagine being a shepherd, honestly. It's because like I have 100 sheep there and then one of them goes lost. Like, I'm not going to bother counting all the way up to 99, you know, like it's their white fluffy things in the meadows in the valley. Like, there you go. That's good enough. Like, I don't see them wander right. So like, they should be there. Sheep do what sheep do. You know, they follow each other. They should be there. Like, I'm not going to even bother. That's my thinking in the very least. So I can't believe that one, that he noticed that one went missing, and the other one, now multiply that by 1 billion, so that's not only the people globally that's present today, but then multiply it because it's the people throughout the whole of history, past, present, future to come. Imagine all that. And then one person is like, God's like, oh, Sally, oh, John, what you doing? You went missing there. Let's go after him. Like, can you imagine that? It's like kind of like, I can contemplate, not really. Can I fathom? Not really. Like, I can apprehend, but I can't comprehend. So that was like one of my points there. Yeah, and like kind of want to summarize is like Jesus is the shepherd in that story. Jesus is the father in the prodigal son story, and then Jesus is the woman in the lost coin story, where you can find in Luke 15. But go ahead, Jason, take it away.
I think they're all about, the love of God, basically, all of them are there to show just how loving he is, but not only just loving in the case of the prodigal son, not thorough in the case of the woman, but all thorough and meticulous, but also impressive in this is what I'm getting from you, Joseph, that it's impressive to know all of your sheep. Like, it's impressive. He says every hair on your head is numbered. I mean, look, some people have less hair than others, but but it is impressive. And that's how deeply and intimately he wants to be connected with us. And the question is, like, how lost is lost in this case for everyone that look at the story. The sheep was lost. Maybe he could have found his way back home. The coin was lost. He would definitely not find his way back home. And the prodigal son, he was lost to the point that he was considered dead. He was considered dead in the sense that he'd gone off the rails to the point where he was dead in sin and trespasses. And that is very lost, I would say, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible for the love of God to reach someone who is very lost to the point that they're dead in sin and trespasses. God's love can still reach them. That's a beautiful thing, his love stretches the abyss. It stretches through time. It stretches, and it is inspiring to see that love. And if we can love our children the same way, fathers can be that loving to their children. No child would ever want to leave home, but I suppose we do want them to leave home when they're grown.
Joseph, you got a point there?
Yeah. Well, I just like how the story of my life, I can say, is rigged so I can be loved. It's rigged so that I can be saved. It's rigged for not only me, but also you and everyone in the world. But it's like rigged. So like, first of all, God is in hot pursuit of all of us. He's always in hot pursuit. And it's a little bit weird because, we don't like to watch this person or that person or the news because it's biased and it's from their point of view. But it's weird because it's rigged. It's Jesus, like God, like he's rigged, biased to save us.
That's interesting, actually, because that's sort of, sorry, Delphia, this is a question I asked, like, how easy is it to get lost, or how easy is it to get found? Because you're saying that God is biased in a sense that he wants us to be found. He doesn't want us to be lost. But there's someone that wants us to be lost. We can't it's two sides to the equation here, but what you're saying is that the equation is not even equal. It's not balanced. So the side that wants us to be lost is infinitely less powerful than the side that wants us to be saved. So how is it possible that people can be lost with such a powerful God working on our behalf? How is it that people can be lost?
Okay. So in order for loss to happen, you actually have to resist. Like that's my thinking. It's like you have to actually consciously resist to be lost. Like you have to actually make the decision and your will has to be done. You're like, oh no, I'm choosing this. Because like I don't know where it says in the Bible, but there's like a law in your heart where you actually know you're doing wrong. Maybe you don't read the Bible, anything like that, but consciously you know, like guilt, wrong thing.
Okay, but I need to throw something out there, right? Because we have an enemy, right, who's abducted us, and that's why we're lost, is because we have an enemy called Satan, who's totally opposed to God. So he's trying to go and help to have us lost. Okay, so if you, I don't know, this is what my thought process is anyway. If someone has abducted you, like Satan has tried to abduct us from God, how does that? Okay. Oh, I'm lost for words all the time.
What's the train of thought there?
I like that. Lost for words. New title.
For me, it's just like, if you got like the police force, there's only like one bad guy, and like maybe he has like other bad guys to help him, but then the police force, you could say, is so much more powerful. Like they've got helicopters, they've got cars, they've got trained thousands of people to do this work. And this is kind of like what it is with God. He's the police force, even though the police force has gotten a bad rep. And
because they're
people
evil.
have some, not all. My uncle's a police officer. Leave it. Oh, sorry, he's a sergeant. I've forgotten. Anyway, he's up there anyway. How is it that we can ask this with God, we can ask this with the police? How is it that not everyone of the missing people are found, considering that there's so much, like the police's technology? They've got thermal imaging cameras, they've got this, that, and the other, where they can like track it. They can go through cyber to try and track people. There's so many ways in like the police force and in God's kingdom as well to find someone. So basically what I'm saying is it going to be that some people are never found? That's the point I want to throw out there. I don't know, that was a very roundabout way.
No, simple answer.
No. What do you mean? No.
Some people will never be found. Joseph says no. Jason seems to be saying yes, according to his answer.
I don't really understand Joseph's, I don't understand his no. I mean, is he saying that some people will never be found at all? Or
I mean, are we still putting it back like in like Christianity terms, or are we just saying it in general?
In Christianity terms. Will there be some people that God never finds? If we're talking in these terms.
Basically, is God going to save everyone then? I mean, he has the power to save everyone, but will he save everyone? That's the question.
Like, if we've all been kidnapped, is God going to find these missing people cases and go and find these people and avenge the abductor, and everything is going to be sorted? Like everything's going to be done.
I think there's some people that believe that. There's some people who believe that, eventually we're all gonna end up getting there. I think that's where the whole reincarnation thing comes in. That maybe in this life you messed up, and then you'll come back as a lizard, and
maybe
then you're trying to. Sorry, you don't like lizard?
Maybe you can live a good life as a lizard.
Yeah, and then eventually you work it out. You get 7 lifetime to come back and work things out, But I don't believe that. I don't believe, this is personally me, I don't believe that it is us doing our work or trying to work things out to be found. If we're that lost coin, no matter what you do, nothing you can do. You have to rely completely and totally upon the grace of God. And same with the lost sheep as well. And we have to completely rely upon the grace of God. He's the one who's able to find us and to fix us, really. I don't think there's nothing we can do, no matter how nice we are. We can be super nice, but unless we're actually experiencing that transforming grace of God, and there's nothing we can do. So I don't believe that everyone will get there, because there's some people that will think I need to work my way into heaven, but that's not it. That's not where it's at.
Yeah, well, why I said yes is because I thought you're asking,
No.
what about those people who never heard, so they're not going to be saved? So if they never heard about Jesus, does that mean they're just automatically lost? That's what I was getting. And I was going to be like, well, no, because I'm just trying to find the Bible. I think it's like Ecclesiastes 3 or something, or maybe around there, or maybe in a different part. But it's like saying how God has put people in a specific time and place, and he's put them between nations, and God knows everyone, and has put everyone in a certain time so that they're not far from God, no
It's
matter
an
what. Acts.
Yeah.
So that's where I was going with it. That's how I heard your question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, in one way, it could be that, us trying to be found, and the key element there is, what do you do? Like, what can we do? And I agree with what Joseph said earlier on, that everyone who is lost eventually in the end would have to choose to be lost, consistently making that choice, and said, no, I don't want to be found. And I believe, this is where we are.
Okay, I just really want to jump in there quickly. Sorry, Joseph, I was first. Okay, so in my mind, I am still thinking of the missing person case in my mind, in literal terms. That means that there was God, as Joseph was saying, everything in our life has been rigged so that we have opportunities to be found. It's just like God has gone and put escape routes wherever our abductor has taken us. If we are in like survival mode, if we are wanting to get out of this situation, he's provided an escape route for us so we can go and get the help that we need. But some people won't see that. They'll just be like, no, I'm forever in this situation. I can't get out. No, it's over for me. And they stop there, and they don't keep looking for what God has gone and orchestrated so that they can get out of that abduction. Joseph, you had your hand up?
Yeah, well, I really love how God loves like the wounderer, the one who actually makes the wound. And I like how God loves the oppressor. Like, I don't know, I think I was watching this clip on TikTok like today, and then it was like saying how I probably forgot where it was, where it's like Michael doesn't want to even bring up that the devil is going to hell, basically, like explicitly. I forgot where it says that, but I just love how God's love is so unconditional. But besides that, I just wanted to share really quickly this clip, and I was like actually moved, and hopefully it comes through. The sound comes through okay, but if it doesn't, just let me know. But yeah, I'll go ahead and share this, and I hope everyone gets a good blessing from it.
Love is not a feeling. We're watching too many movies. I feel something. That's not love. Because let me tell you, love is what you do in spite of what you feel. Love is fighting for the good of someone else, even if they never see the value or the sacrifice that you did to get love to them. Love is what Jesus did on that cross. And love didn't feel good. He wasn't on the cross about, man, this is so refreshing. The way they put that nail in there, boy, oh man. Love sometimes hurts. We don't understand the depth of the love that we are recipients of, because in our minds we can't really comprehend the level of pursuit it took to get to us. There are three.
Mm.
Mm.
That
What do
was
you
really
think?
interesting.
Mhm.
I liked that, being honest. How he put it is, yeah, it's not a feeling, and I love, as once again, what my favorite how my favorite author put it is, it's a principle that
Yeah.
all heaven runs by, and it's unchanging. It's like the foundation of the whole universe of God, this love. And I think that's a good note to wrap up on how God loves us so much, and that, as I mentioned this, and as Joseph mentioned, as Jason's mentioned, that this the plan is rigged so that we can have escape routes, so that we can go and be there and know God,
Mhm.
that we can get away from the enemy, that we can experience love. As this man was saying, we don't understand it yet, but there's that next level love. So, in final thoughts and wrapping up, Joseph, what are your final thoughts that you want to share with our audience?
Well, I just love it how he says there, like the punchline was like, love is what you do in spite of what you feel. And I was like, ooh, love is what you do in spite of what you feel. So it can be contradictory sometimes to love a person because of this, because of that. But you do it because of love, because it's more than just a feeling.
Yeah.
And I was like, whew, like, have mercy. Like, that touched me, like tears like began to come to my eyes when I heard that. But yeah, I just wanted to wrap up that I don't want any, like, for me, crying as a kid, I remember I was like crying to my parents, and I was like saying, I don't want to die. Like, I hate dying. Like I just don't want to die. Like just the thought of that and being lost forever and everything like that is just, it put my head in like such a spin, and I was bawling my eyes out. And I just like, I was like, I don't want to die. Like, and I was like, I can still remember it. Like, I was like getting like so emotional. I'm just like, what can I do? Like, and I feel like it's a real thing. Like, until you're on a deathbed, until you see a friend in the hospital, until you like someone that you know, some family member is like to the point of like death, or like you're about to cross that line, whether they're teetering on life or death, that's when you have that real wake up moment. But the people that's just like, oh, I'm just listening this because, like, you know, it's part of my routine. I'm just doing my thing. You do your thing. I'm doing my thing. I work, I sleep, I cook, I do a little thing with my friends and family. And they just don't understand until you're there. And I don't want you to wait. I'm telling myself, I don't want to wait until that. Like, I want you to make that decision now, not to be lost, because like you began with the podcast, Lost for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even fathom being lost for eternity. So the story of redemption and the person of Jesus is inevitable. And I just want to encourage those to take a deeper look and understanding of like where your life is going, and actually see that this is a journey, and you have a choice of what choice you want to make.
Mm.
Thanks, Joseph. That's some great points that you pulled out there for your final thoughts. And Jason, what are your final thoughts that you have for us?
I think the biggest choice that we can make in, sort of reflecting what Joseph said there is to get God on our side, where we are currently is offside. We just constantly want to do the things that we want to do. Our selfish nature just want to hurt him all the time. This is because of sin, and the sin that we see is not sin out there, it's sin inside, and Paul refers to that as the carnal nature. It is at war with the spiritual nature, at war with God. And when we make God our friend and we're on side with him, there's no way that we can be lost, because it's rigged, Joseph said. And with so much power, so much love, there's no way we can be lost. But then we'd have to find him. And I got this verse I want to read in Jeremiah chapter 29, 11 to 13, and it says, "For I know the thoughts that I think towards you, says the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. Then shall you call upon me and shall go and pray unto me, and I will hear and listen to you, and you will seek me, and you will find me when you search for me with all your heart."
Mm.
And I think, that's where, our first mission or first work should be, to seek, to search, to find God, and to get him on our side, and then we're in for a winner.
Hmm.
Amen.
That's a good point, and I love that verse in Jeremiah. And what we need to remember as well, and this is my final thoughts as well, that how God's thoughts toward us are always good and not evil. And back in Psalms chapter 139, we read that God's thoughts toward us are as the sand of the sea, and David said that he cannot number the thoughts of God.
Mm.
And it's like every one of them are good thoughts about you. And it's like, if you have the God of the universe who thinks nothing but good of you,
Mhm.
no matter what happens, no matter what you do, like with the prodigal son, he did bad things, okay? He wasn't a good boy. The father still loved him.
Mhm.
And we've got the lost sheep. Some of us are lost sheep. We don't know that we're lost. But there's some of us who are prodigal sons and like know that we aren't in a good situation. And I think no matter what, God is wanting to get to you and to have you return to him once more. As I mentioned in the song, how it said, once we have Jesus, we will be at ease, we'll be at peace. And I think that it's just beautiful how God is trying so hard to get to each and every one of you. So to our audience out there, I want to encourage you once again that if you haven't already, or if you aren't sure about it, please try and find out more about God and see who he is and see his character of love, so that you don't have to remain lost, that you can be found, and that you can find God's escape route that he has planned in your life. So thank you all so much for joining us tonight with Joseph and Jason, and to our wider audience as well. It's been an amazing podcast, Lost for 5 Minutes, a story of redemption, and I hope that we are all found when it comes to eternity. So this podcast was brought to you by the Avon Valley SDA Church, who sponsored this episode, and you can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and also you can find the Hopeless Podcast on YouTube and Spotify and a lot of the main platforms for podcasts. That came out a bit weird, but anyway, find us and share us with your friends, and also leave us a comment. We love interaction. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. God bless.
Bye.